County Water and Wastewater, got me, you got paperwork. I have Sue Spiker and Beth Jones from the County Planning Department, County Health Department.
Chad Brown.
Chad Brown, thank you, Chad. And we have Paul from the OEPA. Paul Vandermeer. Paul Vandermeer. And myself and Alan Haynes, the project engineer of the project.
The residential hookups, and actually Beth Jones will be talking more about that in a little bit. Another component of this grant is fair housing, and I just want to talk about it just real briefly because we have to make this information available to you. Fair housing, you probably usually think of that usually deals with like tenants and landlords and the issues that they may have. So over on the far right-hand part of the stage, I have put some brochures there. It talks about, what are your rights as a tenant, or what are your responsibilities as a tenant. Also, if you are a renter and you have disabilities, what are some of the guidelines that you can follow with that. And there's also some information there about bed bugs, which has been kind of a hot issue in the last couple of years. However, that's not a fair housing issue, but I'm just providing the information for you. And there's also some brochures there from the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, so if anybody has no problem with maybe they feel they're being discriminated against in rental property, or because you have disabilities, you can have information there. So we're just making that available to you. If you have any questions anytime, you can call me. I also have my business card down there. Any questions about this part of the funding? We'll be giving you more information shortly.
The easements, we've got about 8 left to get. Looks like about 4 of those will be going into litigation. That could have an effect on the project schedule and the project cost. As time goes by, the cost does tend to go up for these types of things. So we'll have to see how that all works out.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Alan Haynes. I'm with W. Stilson Consulting and Project Engineer. Sorry about that. Talk a little bit about the schedule. June, September 2012, last year, we started the easements. As I said, there's 2 of those left to go. June through October of 2012, the applications for the funding went out. So those have mostly been secured and are dependent on easements. In May of 2013, we will be applying for DFA next.
The nomination form has been submitted. The actual application will go in May.
Okay. The application will go in May. As I said, those will not be awarded until until easements are secured. May 2013 through March 2014, we anticipate construction. That is once again dependent on getting the easements secured. In June of this year, we're looking to, if the project's on schedule, get bids and get those open. See how that comes in. And then March through September of 2014, we'll be looking at completing the sewer roads. Mentioned, going back to the agenda, mentioned briefly the cost. The cost estimate that we have shown there is roughly what we believe it will be currently. So that is current. That could go up. Fees. There will be a connection fee of $3,000 per tap. Some residents may qualify for a waiver, and there number 3, we have the payment plan. That has been approved. Everybody can get on the payment plan if they so desire. And then the sewer rate, once this is all complete, is anticipated to be $48 a month. $48 a month.
$48 a month?
Correct. Moving on to residential and responsibilities. You will have to abandon the septic tank on your property, and
Let's get Chad Brown up here.
Mr. Chad Brown will be discussing that with you.
Thank you. My name is Chad Brown. I'm the Director of Environmental Health at the Health Department. Can you hear me okay? You will be required to abandon your septic tank once you connect to the public sewer. That's the regulation we have locally in the county. So by doing that, your tank must be pumped by a hauler that's registered with our department. We can provide a list of that. There's a list on our website now. We can provide a list to whomever. We want to pass that out as well. The top of the tank and one side of the tank must be crushed, and then that resulting void has to be filled with some sort of an inert material. So clean fill, sand, gravel, something like that. Basically what we're looking for there is, the concern would be once you pump your tank, if it would become some sort of a safety hazard where it would be avoid and collapse. Last thing we want to do is have a small child or somebody saying on top of it and it collapses. We have an incident that way. You also need to notify us. There's no permit fee or any fee owed to our department for this at all. You always have to pay the installer or the hauler to pump your tank and a contractor to crush it. There's no permit fee or anything to us. You just have to notify us of when it's done, who did it, and how you fill that area up. I have over here a handout as well with a form. You can go ahead, complete that form, mail it to us. You can email it to us. It's available on our website as well. So that's your responsibilities as far as septic system abandonment. Does anyone have any questions on that? Yes, sir.
$48 per month for how long?
That I can't answer. That's, you're not paying us $48 a month.
Correct.
So
2 months.
ship that off to somebody else. I'm just talking about septic.
We need to get in.
The old bait and switch.
Any questions on septic system abandonment? Yes, sir.
I have a question. You're saying crush it? Why couldn't you just pull the lid and full of sand like they did in the city of Newark or other places?
That's based on, that's our regulation in the county, to have it crushed. There has been some research done where even without, if it's not filled properly or completely, it still becomes unstable. You can still see it collapse at that point.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Even with a aeration tank, you have the fresh side of it, and it's round, but it has to be fresh, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. You still have to, is your tank plastic?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can talk to you after we get done.
Okay.
If you'd like. Any other, yes, sir.
Now, I think it's kind of a shame because Buckeye Lake area, they got theirs put in for virtually nothing. And nowadays, we got to pay for it.
As far as
paying for the sewer system.
oh, again, I can't answer those questions.
Well, the sewer system in Buckeye Lake was put in for a fraction of what we're paying, you know.
Yeah, I would have to defer those questions to somebody else.
I'll answer that question when he's done.
Any other questions for me? Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? The information's there and the website's there and everything else. Yes, sir.
Chad, one question. You might cover once the sewer's in, the distance that, if you're within a certain distance of the line, when it becomes mandatory to convert over to the county system?
Our regulations basically indicate when that sewer becomes accessible to your property. We don't deem it accessible, and I'll talk with Kevin a little bit about that. Actually, the sewer purveyor deems it accessible. We'll go by their word. If they say it's not accessible, we can't force you to connect. But Kevin, can you speak to that a little more? Kevin will speak to that more as well.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
In order to put the main sewer line, or one of them, through, it's going to go through my septic field. Now, this has a direct effect on the operation of sewer.
Yes.
How's that going to be accomplished without a real mess?
You know, so what you're saying is the sewer line will be installed prior to you connecting. So,
Well, I would hope so.
yeah, it's going to, I understand. I mean, we rephrase it. You're still going to be using your septic system. When they put it through, you're not going to connect it to your home. It's going to go to other places, is what you're saying, correct?
Well, what's going to happen is it's going to cut through a fair portion of my septic field.
Okay.
As soon as you open all that up, you're gonna have a mess.
We're going to, maybe you and I can talk again, but once we get done here, and talk to you about that, what was some sort of
Well, I
solution.
would say I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
that's problem.
That'd be something we'd have to address, you know, maybe by case, I'm not sure.
They're going to back over and crush it and so.
Yes. Any other questions for me? Yes, sir.
Softener water.
Can that go in the sewer system, or, you know,
Yes.
or does it,
We
can
don't
it go to
recommend
fresh,
going
can it go to the creek?
We don't recommend it going to your septic system, but they're saying it can go to the public sewer system.
Can it go to the creek?
We'd rather that go to the
Through the septic
waste treatment, because when that backwashes, it's creating, you know, iron or whatever spilling out of your water. We don't want
And
that in
salt.
waterways.
Okay. So you want that through the sewer system?
Correct.
Okay.
What about sump pump water?
No.
What if my softener empties into my sump pump?
I would suggest just replumbing your softener to your house plumbing and keep the sump pump separate. We cannot allow any groundwater or surface water to enter the sewer system. Under EPA, under EPA rules and regulations, we cannot allow surface water or groundwater to enter a sanitary sewer.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Another question. In our addition, I'm in the, what they call the Rocky Addition or Valley High Addition. You're running a line down through the center of the front 2 rows of houses. Your line is going right over the top of the clean water pipe that's all the way down through there. You're going to be digging it all up. There's a 6-inch line. And almost every house there dumps their fresh water into that line. Are you guys going to, will the contractor be required to replace that
We're
line?
referring to stormwater and downspout drainage.
All goes in a common line between all the first 2 rows of houses in the Valley High Addition.
Yeah, that would be located prior to construction, and we just have to either relocate that and make sure that that's all put back to as is. So any drains or tiles that's disturbed during the construction, those would be repaired as needed.
Okay.
That be in writing? It could be or will be?
It is, it will be.
Okay, because there's a good bit of it in my yard. That's why I'm asking.
That will be in the general notes of the plan for the contractor. When they will see that, when they bid the job, they will take that into consideration when they bid the job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. We have exhibits out here. We also have some plans back here. What the exhibits out there will show is you'll see a large aerial. You'll see where your house is and where the line has been designed to go. And you can see that. You can see where manholes are and that type of thing. Also, you can see both the temporary and permanent easements. The little yellow rectangles that you'll see next to your house there. That's where the contractor's going to be working, and then the permanent easements which you will grant to the county. Back here on the set of plans, we have exactly where the Ys are intended for you to connect your service to go to your house. Please take a minute. We'll have somebody here. Make sure that that meets your expectation and your approval. So we'll have somebody out there and in here, and we'd like you to look at your own individual situation and make sure it meets your needs. On service connections, these can be done by you folks or a contractor you would designate. They do have to be by Licking County specifications, but it is authorized and allowed for you to do that yourself, if that's what you wish. That goes from the right-of-way line to your home. That's what we have at this point, and I know there's going to be individual questions and comments. We'll be up here to answer those. If you have any general comments or questions, we can take those here, but if they're specific, I would just suggest wait until we adjourn this portion of the meeting. So, yes, sir, in the back.
I have a question. We have a building in the township that has no restroom facilities whatsoever. So you're saying we have to hook up and pay for a tap fee for a building that has never had a restroom?
No. It is not inhabited by a family dwelling. You have a portalet out back, I take it, for restroom usage.
Yes, sir.
If you would want to connect that and put in running water and so forth, then we would be more than willing to include that in the project.
Thank you. One other question. if you're gonna come across licking trails to come into Allison and Cooper, I believe that's what the map shows, you're going to a housing development that has lots laid out, but there's no houses on it. So what you're saying is, you gotta come to Allison and Cooper and Jacktown and make them hook up to septic, but you have new lots right behind these people. You're saying they don't have to hook up to it in the future? That they can use septic and aerators?
That is, that's a newer development, and we are looking at that option, but
That's
if
bullshit.
we was to sewer those, an extension would have to be brought up. The reason that those homes would not be required is they have a large enough lot, they have the proper acreage to put in an approvable home sewage treatment system.
But also, some of the people in this neighborhood have aerators that were just approved a few years ago. They're not even 8 or 10 years old, correct?
And there's a number of these lots that are double lots. They're actually acre lots as well.
Yeah, how big of a lot do you have to have not to have to tap in?
The minimum lot size for a septic system.
We don't have a minimum lot size any longer. It's, we do a soil evaluation to see what type of system we can get onto your lot. Now, there are limitations as far as, and there's also increased costs with all lots as well. I can't give you that number.
Sir, my name is James Huffman. I live on Ridgely Tract up on top of the hill by Dawes. There's 2 of us that's up there, and honestly, I don't even know what the hell's going on here. We were never notified that this action was going on 2 years ago when you guys were sending all these mailers out to everybody else. In fact, I learned from a neighbor that's sitting right here. We never got notified to be part of this or anything else. Some lady knocked on my door a year ago from the water or waste or whatever from the county and showed me a map. I'm no part of this whatsoever. I'm probably one of the 8 that you don't have easements on, and I will definitely see you in court because I'm totally against this shit. You have a brand new development over there, and you're telling us right now that you're not even incorporated because of their lot size. Several of these people in here have lot sizes that are larger than an acre or at an acre, and it's not making any sense. Especially, I know that Andy and myself, living up on top of the hill, we are virtually forever away from this creek. Supposedly that is the issue that's going on here. Have a brand new septic systems in our places as well. And I'm not understanding this. This seems like it's very politically motivated. Can you explain to me what's going on, since I've never been a part of this until today?
What is your street address, sir?
6832 Ridgely Tract. It's right in front of Dawes, right on top of the hill.
Okay. Well, why you didn't receive any mailings, we've sent out numerous notices according to the auditors' websites and so forth. That's what we need to use for the mailing addresses. Not sure why you didn't receive any of those.
See, since everybody else was receiving these at the bottom of the hill, we were kind of under the assumption that, hey, maybe we're not in this area. Kind of similar to maybe like Andy's got an acre lot, Dwight's got an acre lot, I have an acre lot. So maybe we were kind of thinking that this is something to do with the houses down around the creek or something. And then as you sit there right now, you're not even including this new development that's right up against this creek. I'm really scratching my head here, brother. I got to kind of ask you, what would you do if you were me? You've never been notified of anything. You're not in concurrence with what's going on. You're quite a ways away from all this. And your neighbors aren't even being included once they build brand new houses. How would you feel? I think that's probably the majority of the consensus here. I feel that there's probably a few people in here that's for it, for good reason. But I'm kind of getting a lot of vibes in here that most people aren't. And I wasn't even a part of this. So that's why I'm kind of confused as I stand here.
You only responded to this because one person made a phone call about that creek about 3 or 4 years ago. A lady came out from the health department, and it all started right there. One guy made a call about that creek. If he hadn't called, we probably wouldn't be sitting here. I know who the individual is.
You guys are just popping up with answers for me right here, man.
Well, to speak on the Licking Trails Road subdivision, again, that is a new development that has just came up over the past, in 2012, that was all lotted, subdivided in 1 acre lots, I believe it is. Those homes, as they are laid out, are not accessible to the sewer because you cannot have a sewer lateral going on somebody else's property, for one. So if we was to sewer those homes and bring another 12 homes into the into this system, we would have to extend the sewer up the front of the property.
So hold on real quick. Are you not doing this because of the CDBG funds? Or you're not doing it because you can't get enough funding to do something like that for this
That has nothing to
project?
do- No, it does not. That does not have anything to do with them not being sewer. The reason that they're not included in the plans, one is it is a new development, and two, they have the adequate lot sizes for on-lot system.
But there's no vocabulary for a minimum size.
I've got a 2 acre lot, you're telling me my lot's not big enough to do it on my own?
It depends on where your home is. If your home is within 200 feet of the sewer line, you're required to connect. Whether you have 10 acres or a half an acre.
Those dozen houses been there for 5 years. At least.
I would definitely express your concerns on that. We can, the board and I can discuss that. If that makes sense to extend a sewer line 1,000 feet up through there and pick up those additional homes, then so be it.
I don't know if you're pushing it because it's your job. I don't know if you're pushing it because you feel it's the right thing to do. I don't know what your stance is because I don't know you. And as you are now knowing me and where I'm coming from, you still have to kind of answer a question. I'd ask each and every one of you, if you were me or anybody else standing in this room and somebody's kind of pushing something or forcing something on you, that doesn't even include another adjacent development that's brand new right there. Or better yet, you weren't even notified that this was even going on for the last 3 years until now. How would you feel? You're not answering me.
Well, I would obviously be upset myself. I'm a property owner, and I apologize if you was not notified.
It just sucks, because you know we're going to go to court. Maybe it won't be you and me, but there's going to be somebody up there. That's what sucks about it, because each and every one of you feel the same. Not one of you are saying anything different. You feel the same. Yet I'm going to be fighting one of you up there. It sucks, man. It just sucks. Everybody's got families. They got other shit to put up with. All this bullshit that's going on, this bureaucratic, and you guys are here.
Sir, this is an EPA requirement.
Oh.
So
is Obamacare. Are you on board with that, brother? You know what? Oregon can't have magazines higher than 5 capacity. Now it's a felony if you got more than 3. I don't care about Oregon. I don't care about any of this. I wasn't notified. And what aggravates me is that everybody here has got more stuff to worry about, and it just feels like you're cramming stuff. Did you hear his response? $48 a month. Did you hear his response? $48 a month. $48 is half a freaking tank of fuel in my truck, my friend. I don't care about that. What I care about is being pushed on something. And every one of you would too.
I have a question. If we have 8 outstanding, you said we have 8 outstanding lots to get easements for, why should I have to pay extra if you're going to have to take somebody to court because they won't give you an easement? Because he's going to take you to court, I'm going to have to pay because he's taking you to court. Because you said if you have to go to court, the cost could go up. Why should I have to pay because he doesn't want to pay?
It's just adding to the overall.
It's not a matter of not wanting to pay. I'm one of the persons that didn't sign. And what it comes down to is when you have a gentleman that comes out and asks you for a voluntary temporary easement, and you don't sign it because you want to look over it, and then he calls you back in 2 months and you say you're going to sign, and you tell him no, and he tells you, well, we'll get it one way or another, and hangs up on you, why should I sign it? Nobody's even told me why I need to get this easement. When I was told, and I asked him the question, he told me it was temporary. I said, so I get it back, right? Absolutely. I said, then why do I need to sign? Well, you just need to sign it. There's a lot of running around the bush on this.
The temporary easements are for the contractor during construction of heavy equipment, and they'll mess up the dirt and turf in that area, and then have to come and reclaim it and get it back to snuff. That's what the temporary is for.
And then what's the other easement that we're talking about?
Permanent easements.
Yes.
That's in the vicinity of the sewer itself, such that if a rupture of the line ever happened in the future, that the county would have authorization to go and make
Well, that wasn't even brought up to me when this gentleman came around. None of that was even mentioned. All he talked about was this temporary easement. And I kept asking him, if you already have 20 foot off the road, why do you need another 20 foot? I'll give you the access to do whatever you need to do, but you don't need to have it.
Well, by law, that's what we're required to do. We have to have a permanent easement, so the county wouldn't have to go to court or something if they needed to get access to fix the sewer. On the temporary, that's just when the contractor's coming to do it, and then they restore it, it's back to you.
So it winds up not being my land, then, right?
I'm sorry?
Once this permanent easement goes through, it's no longer my land, right?
No, it's your land, they just have a right of entry if they need to maintain the sewer. Yes, sir.
I think it's a shame that Buckeye Lake got this put in and the federal government paid for it. Now we have to flip the bill because the government's broke. And you people are sitting up there because you work for the government. You're just shoving it right down our throats. The EPA has an agenda in the state of Ohio to eliminate septic systems at every home. Because the Cuyahoga River caught fire, you know, that's when they were formed. And they have more power than any other entity in the federal government.
I don't think you need an exception to that.
I guess to answer that, the reason the Buckeye Lake sewer system was so cheap to the residents, there was a lot more grant dollars back then.
For sure.
It was probably 80% grant, 20% loan.
But
now, there is no.
There's no money now, is what it is.
Out of this $3 million project, we was able to get $700,000 of that in grant dollars.
Yeah, that won't even pay for a boring machine.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. You're gonna run a line south to ODOT, the big, District 5, whatever. Or is it gonna be big enough that if they do build houses across the road, because there was at one time a planned housing development across the road, is that line gonna be big enough, or will they have to hook up to it too?
The line will have capacity for additional growth in that area. It's going to be an 8-inch sewer line. And they would not be able to have dense, obviously, smaller lot sizes without connection to public sewer.
But it is, I believe, zoned commercial at the time. All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mainly for the EPA and the county commissioners. North of where I live on off Ridley Track Road, as you go toward Heath, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of houses whose septic systems drain into that same tributary to that creek. How much sampling and testing of all those tributaries of that creek has the EPA done, and the commissioners done, and the county health department done? Are all those tributaries clean?
The creeks flow from south to north.
So that's my point.
No, I don't think, I asked a question. How much of Licking Township does the EPA and the county health department and the commissioners tested outside of this development in Jacktown?
They have. There's one person called about that creek that you guys are worried about. One guy called and got the EPA on that creek.
You guys haven't answered my question. How about Mr. EPA there? Have you tested any of the rest of Licking Township? Either you have or you haven't. All right, go ahead.
The testing was done, the gentleman back with the black jacket is correct. There was a complaint filed. We tested based on that complaint. Nobody has filed a complaint about those other properties that you're talking about.
So then all I have to do is call your office and file a complaint, then you're going to test the rest of Licking Township.
Yeah.
If you want to file a complaint about that.
And that helps.
But let me ask the county commissioners this then. In your due diligence, all three of you, and the EPA, why didn't you follow the tributaries of that creek on down all the way to Licking River? As you start this project, why don't you figure out how big it has to be?
Right.
I mean, I got people, I live right beside Jimmy. On the other side of the hill in the cemetery, there's what, 10, 15 houses there that drain right into that creek. And you can't convince me some of those houses are very old, that their septic systems are up to snuff. So I guess I'm gonna call you tomorrow and file a complaint tonight. And that creek runs right through Dawes.
Then maybe we can apply for a federal disaster, you know? Because every creek in Ohio is polluted. You go drink out of any creek. I mean, you'll die in 2 days.
I still want the answers until you haven't done anything else other than the response to that one complaint in that section of Licking Township.
We'd be happy to entertain your complaint. Somehow, if you don't want to file one.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to file a complaint or not, but I'm going to get my topographic maps out. I'm going to follow every tributary, and I'm going to count every house on that whole north section of Heath. Then I'm gonna write the commissioners a letter that I want all that water tested, and wherever it fails, then they ought to be part of the Heath Sewer District. They ought to have to cough up there 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, whatever it costs to do that. I don't mind paying the 3,000. I don't mind paying the $48 a month if it was uniform across the township. We've been singled out because of one business or one person violating the law, and that's not fair.
Because of one complaint. One guy made a call, and then that help lady came out, and then she reported it. And then you started sampling. That's where it started, with one guy.
And I get my topographic maps out, and believe me, I got a few degrees. And I'm gonna start tracking this water back, and I'm gonna start calling your office. I mean, if I'm gonna have to do this, then the rest of the township can do it. 'Cause I can assure you, I used to be a manufacturing manager, and I had 20 years of dealing with the EPA. I can assure you that there's a number of those houses that don't even have a septic system, or dumping straight into the tributaries. And I bet if we went out and walked for 8 hours tomorrow, we could find a bunch of them.
You'll probably be better off talking to either, I don't know if Heath's got a health department or not, but if they're within the city limits of Heath.
No, they're not. They're right. They're just on the other side of Dawes. That whole, all those additions up there.
Then you'll need to call the county health department first to file a complaint. Once the county health department decides that there's a reason that we need to go out to demonstrate unsanitary conditions, then we will do so.
So you're not running a sewer on the east side of 13, east of this addition that we're talking about? You're not requiring them to have a sewer hookup whatsoever?
No, because they haven't tested it.
That is amazing.
They're not gonna do it because they don't want to
That
drop the
house
rest.
is just on the other side of 13. You guys wouldn't include that? Really?
That's it. They will eventually in 10, 15 years. And then
Yeah, folks, I live in the house at the bottom of the hill in that addition that's next to Jacktown. And everybody from Jacktown, including the state and the little store and the pizza shop and the bars, all feed the creek that runs through my yard. And believe me, this sewer system is needed. For 20-some years now, I have not let my kids or my grandkids even walk through that creek because it is filthy, polluted with our shit. Poop, if you will. And that the creek is filthy. Come on, let's clean our place up. And we can't wait another 40 years for them to test all these. You know, they tried putting this thing through 20 years ago, and I'm sorry, I'm the one that passed the petition around to try to get people to say no to it. I wish we had done it then. But this creek is polluted. We have sewer systems that are dumping into ditches. We have, you drive through Jacktown, the whole town stinks. Come on, let's clean up our area. Let's not live.
You're missing the big picture. You're missing the big picture.
What?
You haven't lived at the bottom of the hill.
No, it's not that. Go after the houses that are doing that. If the creek's that bad, absolutely. Absolutely. But you got a whole room here saying something different than what you are. No, I'm saying you're
No,
right.
the whole room's not saying that. I've heard three people.
You pay for it. You pay for it. You pay for it, and I'll accept
Why don't you, if you want to have a conversation between yourselves, do it after the meeting.
I agree.
You're a big part of it, though.
Yeah,
I think you
yeah,
should
you're
hear
forcing it down.
Direct your questions up here, we'll give you the answer we can.
And it's not just the documents we have down there, looking at the plans for where your service is, these individual situations.
Yeah, but you're half-assing
Hold on,
it.
let me finish, please. We want to understand the individual situations, and we will write that down, listen to it, the commissioners will take it up in due course. But give them the benefit of understanding your situation. I think that's only fair.
Somebody else had a question.
Yes.
For the EPA, please. For the benefit of our group here, could you explain, I heard one explanation of why you are unable to find the sources of the contamination Would you give an official reason for that, please?
I guess I'm not sure what your question
You
is.
say the creek is contaminated, correct?
It's correct, it's contaminated with untreated sewage.
From who? A lot of it's coming from the Ohio Department of Transportation up there. A lot of that's coming right down, it's not the individual houses.
The source is from septic and leach fields or aeration systems or on-site home sewage treatment systems that aren't functioning properly, so the waste
So
in
you
an
don't know
untreated
which
fashion.
ones those are?
I'm sorry?
You don't know which ones those are?
I cannot point them out. The health
And
department
you
may be
can't
able to
point
do
them
that.
out, then you are saying that you don't know if this $3.5 million plus is going to solve a problem for which you cannot find a source.
I'm not saying I can't find a source, sir. The source is all over Jacksontown. Every ditch running through town is contaminated with sewage.
It comes from someplace, sir.
Yes, it does.
You
It
have,
comes from the hose
you have
and
a
our
job
home
to
sewage
find
treatment
where
systems.
that source is.
I'm not going to sit there and test every discharge.
You're not going to do your job to
That's
find
up to
the
the
source of contamination.
That's up to the health department to determine whether or not systems are functioning or not. They came through and did that, filed a complaint with us, asking us to demonstrate unsanitary conditions, which we did, according to state law.
We've responded to complaints, did investigations and complaints. As far as, the official complaint to the EPA, I'm not sure that came on behalf of our department. I'm pretty new to my position, sir. I can go back and research it. However, I can do that. That's not a problem. We responded to, individual complaints on individual homes. We found nuisance conditions that were present. I think we all can agree there are sewage systems that aren't functioning within this area.
You're guessing.
No, I'm not guessing. We found systems that aren't functioning correctly in that area.
Then you can specify which ones are not functioning properly.
I can't specify right now off the top of my head, but we can go back and look at the records. Yes.
Okay. And could those systems then be corrected?
I can't tell you that from my seat right here, right now. It would depend on the type of systems there, the size of the lot, the soil conditions. There's plenty of different scenarios that need to be played out there that I can't, for each specific site that we can't talk about right now from this position.
So your job is to protect us from the sanitation problem, but you can't be specific what the source is.
I didn't say that. We can be specific. I can go back and look at the records. I don't have that with me right now in front of me. We can go back. If you want to come to the office, we can go through as much as you want, or I can get them together and send them to you if you file a records request.
Since you could be specific, wouldn't it have been a lot cheaper to solve those issues than what we're doing right now, my friend?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
It would be apparent.
Yes, sir.
In my backyard, and many of your backyards, if you know anything about the water table in this area, water is only down 4 feet and then it's gravel. That's the water that feeds our wells. That alone is enough reason to have a sewer system. You dig down my backyard 4 feet, and there's artesian wells on top of the hill, 2 or 3 of them. And you dig down 4 feet, and there's your water. That water feeds into a lot of people's wells. We're contaminating our own water. We've got to do something about it. We cannot continue. I'm sure my well is only 11 feet down to the water. My septic tank is sitting right on top of the water that feeds my well. I'm hoping that it's filtered enough that I'm not drinking my sewage. That chance exists for every one of us here. And sewer systems today can cost anywhere from 10 to 20,000 because they're getting more stringent all the time about the requirements of sewer systems. So you're going to contaminate your own water with these sewer systems. And I don't care if you got an aeration system. That aeration system dumps out somewhere that soaks back into the ground. 4 feet down, it's into our water, fresh water system. Case closed.
Yes, sir, over here. I just have a confirmation question for the line that comes down 40 from 13 Jackstown I see it on the drawings, comes to Lancer Road, is that where it stopped, or will it come through?
That is a force main on, from 40 to Lancers Road. That will be a pump station at the bottom.
Will the project keep coming west down 40?
No.
It'll stop right there. We're building a church at the corner of Lake Drive and 40. We were just wanting to know how far the sewer system comes. So as of now, it'll be stopping at Lake Drive.
All right, folks, if there's no more questions.
I have a question.
Okay, there is more questions. Go ahead.
You're with the engineering group, right?
Yes, sir.
On a project like this, do you have to do a federally required environmental impact statement on what this project's going to do to the overall environment? If you had to do that,
Not as part of our work.
then I'll ask the commissioners. As part of any due diligence I've ever seen on a public project or private project of this size, especially with all this digging you're going to do, you have to do an environmental impact study of some type. Has this been done?
We've done environmental review.
I didn't say review, I said study that you have to submit to federal EPA. Has that been done?
It's called an environmental review.
Can I get a copy of that?
I don't have it with me, but get your information.
I'll get you the
I'll give you my
information.
card and you can email me or.
All right, because I'd like to review that.
Yes, sir.
Directly to what you're responsible for, I'm going to pick on our township trustees. Has there been any monies to be approached from our township funding, since this is a township issue? There's no way that no monies can come out of the township? Or has there been monies come out of the township for the project?
No, I'll answer that. There's been no money taken out of the township funds to fund any of this project.
Can there be?
There could be. Let me answer the question. There could be. We discussed it as a township board and decided that we did not feel that it was appropriate to take overall township money and designate it to one area of the township. However, we did go back to the county commissioners and offer, if there was needed for a low interest loan of some sort, that we would consider that. That was discussed and that was determined that it wasn't needed by the county.
Thank you.
Just to finish that, we can get a low interest or a no interest loan. Certainly we respect the township trustees of Licking, and if they would choose to take any resources dedicated to this part of the township for the project, that's their business. But we were not necessarily in need of a low interest loan, even though we appreciate the generous offer. We can get a no interest loan, simply using someone's money and paying it back. So that's the difference. I mean, no disrespect to the township trustees. We thank them for that offer, but the answer to your question is they could, they considered it, but chose not to.
Any final thoughts, questions?
What's the hookup fee get tacked on? Is that like several bills or part of your sewer bill?
Tap fee, you mean?
The hookup fee, yeah.
Yeah. That can be put on a payment plan. That is separate than the $48 a month.
So it would be a separate bill?
Yes.
It would be, it'd be assessed on the, well, I don't want to say assessed, but it would be a lien on the property, put on the taxes over a 5-year period for those that would want to pay that off over 5 years instead of paying an upfront cost.
Is this out of easement, is water or sewer line coming out of easement?
No.
Where's it
Buckeye,
going?
it would go to the Buckeye Lake treatment plant for treatment.
Where did you come up with such a high price for a monthly fee? To me, that's outrageous for a little bit of water you're going to be dumping down that sewer.
One thing you might want to consider is that originally this was projected based on the costs at about $80 a month. We've been able, through a lot of ways, in cutting costs on this project and trying to hold the cost down to get it to $48 a month. That's pretty much market price right now. There are no free sewers anymore, whether it's in Columbus, Newark, Buckeye Lake, or wherever. to maintain a multi-million-dollar sewer plant and all the staffing and treatment that goes with it, that's part of the deal of being in a public sewer system. And believe me, I know it seems abrupt, but $48 is pretty close to market price, if not below market price for this. And when we talked to you a few years ago, when it was estimated it was going to be a $70 or $80 a month thing, that was devastating. We've been able to carve it down to that price, which is comparable to what the other 4,000 or so customers are paying on that sewer system. That's simply market price.
So Buckeye Lake's paying $48 a month for their sewer system.
Currently it's $46.
46.
But they're free to put in. I'm not going to $150.
Well, currently,
3,000 added plus in the house out to the road.
that was the original project. For a new home to connect to the Buckeye Lake sewer system is $6,000 capacity fee. So we was able to retain the original $3,000 capacity fee, tap fee, for this project because we knew of the income sensitivity of the area.
So that's the only half the price. You started paying another $3,000 to have it put from your house out to the tap. Now you're looking over $6,000. How many people here can afford $6,000 or $6,500 and then $48 a month? You got a lot of people here on fixed income. Fortunately, ours don't work. But these people here are on fixed income. They can't afford $6,000 or $7,000.
The people that, the low-income residents may qualify for hookup assistance, and Ms. Jones from the planning department will be instituting that program. It will be based on the income level of the resident. If they qualify, then they would not pay the $3,000 tap fee, and they could get assistance in demolishing their septic tank and connecting to the sewer ladder.
That's another $165 we pay the septic tank, not counting out the glass. There's other $500.
So the same people that have a two-person household are going to pay the same for getting rid of monthly sewage as, say, a six-person household. That's what I'm hearing. The way the flat rate sewer billing, that is the truth of that matter, and we run into that situation all the way around the lake. It's just the way the sewer billing is set up. People are not on public water. The only way to monitor that would be through a water meter to know how much somebody's waste is being generated. Not all customers have a water meter, so that's why we chose to leave it at flat rate billing.
What about a business? What's their flat rate?
Businesses, commercial customers are required to have a water meter. So they would be paying above, or they'd be paying based on their usage. For example, ODOT, I'm just throwing numbers out, they may be paying 10 to 12 times more than what a house would pay. Or a bar or restaurant may be paying 3 to 4 times more than what a house would pay because they're generating more sewage. Other than making all homes put in a water meter and billing them off of that water usage, that's not the current billing procedure. So the only one that is metered is commercial establishments. And Beth Jones can speak on the assistance from the low-income residents.
Hello. Yes, the county did apply for a $100,000 grant. My coworker Susan alluded to that before. And that money can only be used to help hook up low and moderate income homeowners to the system. So you must own and occupy the residence for which you're applying, and you would qualify based on the gross household income of your household. Well, right. And my understanding is you're probably about a year away from me jumping into this. So what I have here, these are the current income limits based on household size. And I have extra copies up here. These could change by this time next year, but they probably would only fluctuate a couple $100 either way. And they're graduated for household size. And so you can be able to tell, and this is the income I would need, the information I would need at time of application. So about this time next year, you would, if you're going to apply, you'd apply with me and see if we cannot help you hook up to the system that would pay for the connection fee. So if you are going to make this application for these funds, do not be proactive, because these funds cannot be used to do any retroactive. We cannot reimburse you for anything. Don't enter into contract with anybody. Don't even get estimates, because we would have to run the job from start to finish to make sure we're hitting all the milestones and going through the loopholes that.
Like you're saying, medium household, are we talking like 2 adults, 2 children?
Well, a household of 4, your gross annual household income has to be at or below $52,650, and that's
How
per
about
figure.
family of 2?
Household of 2, $42,150.
And then you'll pay the whole tab?
Pardon me?
And then you'll pay the whole tab, or just?
Yes, we would, everything, well, not the tap fee, but yes, we would make sure we pay the contractor. It would be in the form of a grant. It would include closing out the septic system, connecting you, passing on the inspections, pulling on permits, paying fees. It would be, and I did implement this grant for Village of Hanover when they got their sewer, and Lakewood when they got their water. So I have experience implementing this type of grant. So. No, it's gross income before any deductions. It's all income coming into the household, whether it's taxable or not. Includes wages, child support, alimony, pensions, Social Security, interest, dividends, rental income from everybody, every adult in the household. So it's you and your wife and your son who just graduated from college who had to move back in, or it counts everybody's income, everybody in the household, not just the head of the household, everybody. My business cards are up here, so if you have any questions or anything you want to talk to me about as this goes on, but you'll get more information when the system is in and hookups are ready to begin, and I'm ready to take applications. I can meet with you then, but anytime you can call me anytime.
If there are no other questions, I see, yes, sir.
I do have one question for the county commissioners. 10 years ago, we were told that this project was mandated by the EPA. We've never had that letter produced. That mandated.
The testing, help me commissioners if I get the date wrong, but 2005 was when the initial tests were done, and those tests have been replicated since then. I believe the findings and orders from the EPA were effective in 2012. We have that letter, and in other words, it was an optional project or project that we were supposed to attend to or try to attend to. We had a little thing like a recession come along and some other little difficulties that have made it hard to get to. But we're making progress here because we need to do it to eliminate a safety and health issue. And we do have the findings and orders from the EPA that essentially cock the gun. And basically, we're in a no-option position as your county commissioners. We have to put in a sewer. We're trying to make it as palatable as we can to correct this problem, and we're trying to find as many avenues as we can to mediate the cost. But at the end of the day, the sewer needs to go in starting this year. We're under the orders to do that, and we're not going to start paying fines for not complying with the federal order or the state order. If it's a matter that you don't believe there's a letter, just give Kevin your name and address. We'd be glad to give you a copy of the letter of the findings and orders. Absolutely, we'd be glad to do that.
It spells out the milestones, the project schedule of completion, and the whole 9 yards.
Once again, there's four things we'd like you to do before you leave. There's a site plans out there in front. You can see where the sewer line is going in relation to your house. You'll see where manholes are. Make sure that you understand what that means. Also, there are easements shown on another drawing, both temporary and permanent, which show where the contractor is going to work and what will be permanent, be an easement for the water and sewer district. Lastly, any individual issues, concerns, please come up, tell us what those are. We will write those down. We'll make sure that folks are informed about those, and these elected officials can at least consider what it is you have to say.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Are they going to physically dig these ditches, or are they going to, what is it called, use a rooter type thing?
Vast majority of it will be open cut.
So we got 2 great big trees in front of our house. They're going to take those big trees down?
Look at where the lines pictured.
Right in front of our house.
Okay, let's see about that, and we, we'll consider that and get back to you with an answer.
What's your address, sir?
7008, National Road.
No, I believe the sewer is going in the back of that, of the, no?
That's the kind of stuff we want to know about.
Well, I have to look on the drawings, I believe that that's between your trees and the right of way. But
On the road.
yes. I have to verify it on the drawing.
Okay, folks, just be other questions.
You said something about water and sewer. Now, how long is it going to be before we decide to put a water line through?
What's the question?
Is there anything about that? More on, or?
We're addressing an order to connect to sanitary sewer.
Well, he mentioned water and sewer, and that's why I asked that question.
We're not discussing potable water line.
And again, the hope, as this gentleman pointed out, is if we can clean this area up and get rid of that sewage, then hopefully your water wells will all be in good shape for the foreseeable future.
What was the fourth item?
I just, that.
Fourth item is to come check the plans. Well, the fourth item is individual concerns that you have, like the gentleman with the trees, the gentleman back here. But I also want you to check the tap location, the Y location, to see if you have any issue with that. Those will be up here with individual plans. The other stuff's out there.
I thought you said the tap was out here.
No.
It's up here?
The actual tap locations is on plans, which will be back here on the table. Out there is the easements and the actual line run, where it runs related to your house.
Well, we need to be concerned with the tap hookup, so that's up there.
Yeah, yeah, please do all those things.
Bill, you just have the plan. We'll have the plans out here.
You said they were marked out here.